guys, what's up? My name is Karis. Welcome to Fix Your Shitty Movement. We're talking about breathing and bracing today. Breathing and bracing are right up there with feet in terms of the level of interest that people have in learning any of that shit. They're also up there with the feet, though I would say that they're more important than the feet, I know, when it comes to being successful at literally anything that you do under load in particular. But breathing, I mean, it's essential for life, right? So one would think, well, I've been doing this my whole life and I'm still alive, so why is the way I'm breathing not sufficient? And what the fuck is bracing? What the fuck is bracing? That's the question of our time, isn't it? So the main thing that I want to do in this Fix Your Shitty movement is differentiate between those two things, because a lot of people are under the impression that they're the same thing, or at least very similar to one another, breathing leading into bracing, that is. I want to say too that there are two things that I do that really emphasize breathing, and that, in my opinion, they do a better job than almost anything else out there on the market in terms of like education, just based on my experience. If you have something else, fucking good for you. And that's Russian kettlebell, RKC, SFG, and Pilates. Good Pilates. Bassy Pilates would be one of those. The way that they teach breathing, and the way that it is a fundamental part of being successful in those movements is kind of key to the program. And wouldn't you know it, Pilates and kettlebells, what a big snooze. I can't just run into the class and jump around like a jackass for 45 minutes and say that I got a workout. I actually have to learn how to do this shit. Oh, what a bummer. I know. Then so you're probably not even watching this if you're that person, or if you think that way and you're trying to come out of it, good for you, because it's really the only way to do anything even remotely well. The other thing that I did recently was Kabuki movement systems, Kabuki strength, I don't even know what the fuck they call themselves anymore, but they have their fundamentals of movement course. It is excellent, and I really love the way that they also emphasize breathing and bracing really above anything else. So why am I telling you who gives a fuck where I learned this from? Well, because I don't want to take credit for it. This isn't something that I like made up myself, but no one made any of this shit up. That being said, I credit a lot of what I know to those organizations, and if you're a trainer or coach or you don't want to suck at these things, you should look into those. Anyway, breathing, bracing, what's the difference? Where are we going to start? We're going to start with the spine. Boring, I know. But you really have to understand the spine and the pelvis, how those play into each other, to really understand what you're trying to accomplish in breathing and bracing. Are you with me? 3 minutes there, I probably lost most of you. That's okay. I wore gray leggings to keep your attention. I'll just do this the whole time. Just kidding. Or maybe not, who knows? Okay, so you have your spine here, well, here, and it starts at the base of your skull. The base of your skull, right here, right? And then you have your cervical vertebrae that go into your thoracic, and they go into your lumbar, your sacrum, and your tailbone. And I did inappropriate cues. I've talked about this before. Your tailbone is down here, right on the money. Oh, see, I'm accidentally doing it, but I'm still doing it. It's right on the money. It's your butthole. So let's get that straight for one thing. Your butthole is your tailbone. Everyone knows where butthole is. No one knows where fucking tailbone is, apparently. Sacrum is here, this like fused vertebrae, just below the lumbar spine. So the tailbone sits down here. The sacrum is right here, like the top of your butt crack. And above that, the lumbar spine curves in. So it is naturally in a extended position. Well, neutral is, you know what I'm saying. We are prone to extension in the lumbar spine. Man, I'm doing a good job with these leggings. I'm not even trying to. From there, thoracic spine about rounds or flexes. And then when you get back to the cervical spine, it goes back in. And nature designed us this way for impact absorption and make our asses look nice, obviously, yada, yada, yada. So why does that matter? Well, we're all on a spectrum when it comes to neutral, particularly in our just like day-to-day posture. I famously have, I'm a little teapot pregnant lady posture. It's just my day-to-day. It's what I've always done. I'm aware of it constantly, but you know what? I don't think I'm gonna change that. I don't think I need to change that. I mean, I wanna be as, even as possible, but my attitude is when I am warming up, getting my body ready to add load to especially my spine, I want to prepare it in the best way possible by taking my individual posture into as close to neutral as possible. So no one's gonna be perfect. I've always been even hyperextended, hyperlordotic right here. Since I was a kid, I had to do exercise, hugging knees in my chest, the whole fucking deal. So that's not going away anytime soon. What I do is I make sure that I'm not loading my back like this when I'm doing a back squat, or like this when I'm doing a deadlift. You see my point? Michael Phelps, that's one of my other favorite examples. You do not want to fix his kyphosis because that's the source of his superpower. Like, these are not things that need to be fixed, so to speak. Not unless they're causing you pain or whatever else, right? These are just things that, what I'm talking about, when you're adding load to your body, I want to optimize neutral for you, wherever that is. Start teaching your body to hold that position, teach you to stop being a lazy piece of shit underweight, sorry, it's true, and learning how to hold that position and learning to be able to feel when you're not in that position. Okay, so you have, as part of all of this shit, the important parts of bracing are your diaphragms. So you have a respiratory diaphragm right here, dome shape fucking thing, and then you have a pelvic diaphragm or pelvic floor right yon. And both need to be involved in bracing. And this is probably the biggest, there's not a lot of information about this in the lifting world. Not unless you've had a baby and you're peeing your pants when you deadlift. But even then, it's like, well, you pee your pants when you deadlift, that's to be expected. Not really, particularly when you haven't had children and you're not really going that heavy, it's not like a max rep kind of thing. Why do women do that? Well, first of all, we have shorter urethras than men do, which means that we have a shorter, what's the word? It's the path of least resistance, right? So urine can go out better that way. Why am I talking about pee? This is why. Because most people, in especially powerlifting, teach bracing like, now, if you do that, first of all, you saw how attractive that looks. What that did, pushing out my abdomen, put me more in lordosis, right? Even if I do that and I focus on expanding my back, I still pushed this way. Now, imagine for me that you're on the toilet and you did that. What would happen? You would shit or piss, or if you were trying to force it, that's what you would do. So it doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever to do that when you're about to deadlift something heavy. No, of course if you're a chick, you're gonna piss your pants, obviously. I mean, it's still better than shitting your pants, am I right? But dudes get hernias, right? Because it's just like the path of least resistance, that if you're not holding in that pressure, right, it's gonna escape somehow. So you address the weakness, right? Which is what I always talk about. So when you breathe with your diaphragm, you're inhaling, yes, towards your abdomen, but what I coach is breathing this way, right? Into your intercostals. Woo! And that's a Pilates thing, right? It's intercostal breathing, which is still diaphragmatic breathing. It's just a more advanced version of it. So in intercostal breathing, I'm expanding my ribs. Oh my God, look what happened. It pulled me in. And it was very subtle because I'm not trying to do anything else. I'm not trying to hold myself into a neutral position, right? And because I want you to just see, if I hold myself into a neutral position and then do that, even more, right? But just affecting your breath alone can help facilitate a better posture, right? I mean, that's kind of that's where it makes sense, right? How do you know you're in neutral for you? Your pelvis will tell you a lot of things. So you can move your spine without moving your pelvis, but you can't move your pelvis without moving your spine. So this is a pretty good way to gauge where you are. You have your hip bones and your pubic bone. So when your hip bones are forward of the pubic bone, you're in an anterior tilt. When they are behind, you're in a posterior tilt. So anterior to the hip bones, or excuse me, to the pubic bone, and then posterior to those, or to the pubic bone. So when they're on the same plane, vertically, you can see, you can find that balance. So neutral, I attain from a combination of pulling my abs up and in. See how that also affects my spine? Turns my tailbone and my sacrum downward so that it's not so extended here, right? Now you see it's even. The visual I give people is spilling a bucket, right? Don't spill the bucket. More often than not, people's backs, from what I see, are more sensitized to extension. That means this. And why is that? Well, the lumbar spine is naturally extended anyway, right? And what does our lazy ass posture do? Right? Very easy to pull it where it's already pulled, right? Plus we're weak here and all that other shit. When we sit, we flatten it out too, right? So it's that, and this is not neutral either. So your lower back doesn't love that either. But this, for most people, feels better under load than this. It's a generalization. It's, I think, a pretty good rule of thumb. But anyway, assess yourself and figure it out for yourself. If you're like, this bitch is a liar, extension feels good for me, even a little bit of rounding hurts, then, well, there you go. So what about the spine, right? I said that you could move your spine without affecting your pelvis, and that's true, because you can do this, right? You can flex your upper back, right? I'm flexing my spine now. And this is normally where people will round anyway in something like a deadlift, or more commonly, well, I shouldn't say more commonly, very commonly in a low bar squat especially, because very tight thoracic spine especially, right? And it's the same thing, right? We're already biased into this position, so it's hard to get it into this position. Okay, we're going back to breathing. I took a segue because I want you to start understanding that you're trying to keep these lines as close to parallel to one another as possible throughout any phase of the movement, okay? The movement being mostly squat and deadlift and things within that. If your spine's not loaded, it doesn't matter, right? So bench press with all the Dr. Bros, man, I'm doing a good job with these leggings. The Dr. Bros who are like, you're gonna kill your back. I'm like, my spine's not loaded, bro. I'm like actually laying down and I'm totally fine. And this is the position that my back always wants me in anyway. Plus, I have a big ass. It's gonna prop me up. I'm gonna arch whether I want to or not. So fuck off. It's understandable they wouldn't know anything about women's asses. Okay, so how do you do that intercostal breathing? Well, you practice it. And you're gonna be like, oh my God, I suck at this. I don't wanna do this. This is stupid. Yeah. Good luck. This is one of the many reasons that I think it's really important to do some kind of cross training that allows you to focus on the breathing. Making an argument for Pilates, yoga is a different kind of breathing, but it's still diaphragmatic. However, what Pilates teaches you to do is to expand mostly through here and here, right? Could you see how this expanded here? And it's a skill. The things that you do the most easily, poorly, are the hardest to correct. That's why your feet are fucking assholes too. They're not, you're actually the asshole to your feet. But it's so hard to correct things that you've been doing forever. And that's why having 1 or 2 days a week where you're just focusing on breathing, you don't have to do Pilates class, although I have tons of free mat classes on IGTV and YouTube, but you do have to do something that allows you to practice and strengthen those muscles. Strengthen for me means here, means hello intercostals, hello diaphragm, and learning how to feel this. It's not that simple. You're not just gonna like get it in a 15-minute IGTV video. Some of you might find that you need to take it a step further and go to a pelvic floor PT. Great, that's why they're there. And they're also among the most skilled clinicians that I ever collaborate with, because it's very niche and never mind, I'm not gonna go down that road. Anywho, this is breathing, bracing, the difference between the two one-on-one. Actually, we mostly talked about breathing. Stay tuned for the next one for bracing. My name is Karis. get your shit together.